How's it going, guys? It's T-Guy Ty here. And today I'm going to be talking about Yareli, but not just Yareli, but also her secondary weapon, the Kompressa. Both of them are really good, and I didn't even give them a chance until recently. So, from a former Yareli hater, I'm making this video, and maybe I can convince some of you as well. Yareli Prime is going to be coming out soon, and that's why I did decide. Wow, I was in that for a second. Yareli is getting a Prime soon, so I wanted to take a peek, see what she's up to now, because she's gotten a lot of tweaks, buffs, um, a lot of attention. When Yareli first released, she was possibly the worst Warframe in the game. Um, it goes without saying that Digital Extremes really loved this Warframe and wanted her to do well. And she got the most attention out of any other Warframe post-release that I've seen in this game so far. Like, they really wanted her to succeed, and it made her one of the strongest Warframes in the game. That is not an exaggeration. She went from the weakest to one of the strongest. And I'll showcase a few of those. Another thing I want to talk about, Yareli, is that her modding is a little complicated compared to others, so I'll go into detail about all that stuff in a minute. But for now, let's talk about a few things. So we'll spawn some enemies. I'll show you what's up. So we'll spawn some dudes. It goes without saying, Eximus units, you know, they're immune to crowd control. They're immune to, they're immune to her fourth ability, her first ability, stuff like that. But they still take damage, And the first ability is by far her strongest ability because it just makes people take more damage. It's really good. Also, if you want to be a weapon platform with Yareli, I definitely recommend secondary weapons. As you can see, when I move around, I have 200% critical chance. And boom, right here. So, if I stop, it goes away. You do have a little bit of a mercy where it stays there for a second. And also, if you jump, it stays because you're still moving. But if you wall latch, it's still here even when you wall latch. So you could also use arcanes like Arcane Arachne and stuff to also boost the damage of your secondary weapons. As long as you are continuously moving, you're fine. So as a weapon platform, I decided instead of using her third ability, I would use a damage buff, and I thought Nourish would be good for that. Also, she has a naturally really high energy pool, so that's pretty dope. Anyways, we'll go ahead and get rid of these guys, and we'll spawn some regulars, so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So, we'll spawn some of these. I think I rambled a little bit too much. Let's focus in on this. So, one of my biggest dislikes when Yareli first came out was that her first ability didn't spawn many bubbles. Now, it spawns more. And also, if you summon your second ability, you don't have to write it anymore. A lot of the tile sets in the game were not made to, traverse through them on a K drive. So it gets very annoying. You bump your head a lot. Some areas you literally just cannot fit through. So summoning your second ability and having damage resistance, while also not having to ride your second ability, I enjoy that a lot. Now, check this out. This is something, and I'm ashamed to say it, I did recently learn about this. Armor and damage reduction are two completely different things, and I'll showcase that right here. So, your second ability gives you damage reduction. I have no armor on this Warframe, so I thought I was going to be squishy as hell. I am pretty tanky, so as you can see, I have 90% damage reduction. Now, the difference between the two is that damage reduction it's on shields and health. And also things like Overguard. It's literally all incoming damage is reduced. When you have armor, it's literally just health. Like, it's just health damage. So if you go for like shields, like shield tanking, it's really good. Like really good. Um, let's go ahead and unpause the AI so you can see how good this actually is. So I'll summon my second, and I can stand here for a while. I tanked a lot of hits there. And also, when you summon... Ooh, I didn't do it fast enough. Let's go ahead and revive so you can check this out. So, whenever you have your second ability out, you're invulnerable for 4 seconds. And let's actually grab some energy. So, whenever my shield breaks, see how it takes a while to break? I can just cancel and then recast the ability, and I'm invulnerable again. So that's a really, really good survivability tool. I can just stand here with all these dudes. And while my second ability is active, it's also like casting my first ability on its own. It's really good. Honestly, I don't know what happened right there. But anyways, let's go ahead and get a little bit into the modding. Because like I said, it is a little more complicated than you would initially realize. So when you're modding for ability strength, it's usually a percentage, and it says percentage right here. But with your first ability, you can see that my damage vulnerability starts at 200%. I have like 200% strength, so that would usually be 400%, but it's only 300%. So to talk a little bit about how this works, for however much ability strength that you've modded on, it just adds that much. It's not percentage based, it's additive based. So it's a little misleading. If you want a lot of damage vulnerability, you're going to have to mod for a lot of strength. I've seen a lot of people mod for like negative strength or just neutral strength, and I think it is nice to add some strength because damage vulnerability it's really nice. Um, Another thing, second ability, Marilena. You see here at the very bottom, because I did not mean to click that, because of Loyal Marilena, it casts the sea snares, like, it's like a little mini turret, just constantly casts that for me. It doesn't do much damage, but it like scales up over time, and eventually enemies just die to it. But also, it's really easy to hit headshots on enemies that have just been lifted and are just ready to get shot. Now you see this cooldown is like 2 seconds. Let's go ahead and do this, and we'll throw on some efficiency. So let's do this. And you can see if I have efficiency. Oh, you know what? I'm a goof. Give me a second. Let me actually throw the augment on there so you can see. Well, Marilena. Now it'll pop up. With efficiency, that cooldown goes down. Now what this cooldown is that when we look here, it's on a 2-second cooldown when it casts sea snares. The more efficiency you have on your build, the faster it casts. So you could also go with like Streamline. I'll just do this, and there we go. Streamline. We'll throw this on here. And you can have this casting like twice a second. Now, I don't really recommend modding for like maximum efficiency on a Loyal Marilena build because as you can see, this already costs 3 mods. And your mods are fairly important when you want to start doing like pretty late game content. So, my personal build, I did not really go with any efficiency. But if you want to go with efficiency, maybe you could take off some of that shield regen and maybe like this one. So we could do this, and then we could throw some efficiency on there. Let's check that out. So your builds could look like mine previously, or you can maybe throw this on there, just like that. And then you're kind of leaning in a little bit more into the auto casting of sea snares. Now, me personally, I don't mind casting sea snares on my own. Having this cast on its own it's a bonus, but I'm really just doing it so that I really just equip this so I don't have to ride Marilena. So if you really want to lean into the auto casting of the C snares, then mod for efficiency. Simple as that. And let's do shields so that I can put my mod back on here. Where are you at? I am blind. There we go. We'll do this and this. But yeah, that's pretty much all I really have to talk about for Yareli. She is really nice. I didn't realize how nice she's been ever since like a few tweaks and augments, stuff like that. If you do want to ride Marilena, be my guest. But me personally, I'm not a fan. You know, I do like the mobility, but bonking my forehead against like maybe 2/3 of the tile sets in the game, maybe more, it's very upsetting. So I did say I was going to be talking about Yareli and her secondary, the Kompressa. Kompressa is also very underrated. I see hardly anybody using it, so we'll take a peek at that right now. Actually, let me equip a different Warframe so I can show you. Who am I using it on right now? Wukong. So I know you're seeing Wukong in a Yareli video, and you're like, oh my god, why? I'm about to show you. It's because I have Kompressa on this guy, and one more thing, it's because I have 2 green shards. I'll show you why in a second. You probably already know why. We'll go ahead and pause the AI just for this one. So I modded my Kompressa to be a primer. You can go DPS, and it'll be easier to go DPS. I'm assuming they're going to buff the crit chance of the Kompressa when the prime releases. And, but yeah, I modded mine for a primer, and you'll see why right here. Armor stripped. Look at all those status effects from one shot. Just nuts. And, another reason why I use on Wukong is because if I summon my dude, I mean, he can do damage with the melee, sure. But I'm really just going to be giving him the Kompressa so he can strip armor for me. So let's go ahead and kill this guy, and he'll shoot. Where's he shooting? He missed. But yeah, he armor strips enemies for me. So if I'm doing like a disruption, Wukong is like my main disruption guy right now. I'll just be like floating around the map, grabbing keys, and running up to the demolition targets. And you know, this guy will strip the enemy armor for me, and then I can just do a little bonk. Voice crack. I'll just do a little bonk. And yeah, Kompressa is really, really nice. Um, I have looked into like a lot of the stats on the Kompressa, and that's something else that I want to talk to you about when it comes to the modding, because this is also something that you should pay attention to. So I modded for a lot of status. I mean, if you're doing a primer, that's pretty obvious. But we should talk a little bit more into how the Kompressa operates as a weapon. As you can see, let me exit out and back in so there's no red numbers. Boom. It has innate multi-shot, and it has innate very high crit. I almost said crit. It has innate really high status per projectile. So status per projectile is 30%. It has 4 projectiles. So that's already like 120% status. That's really high. And, you know, radial attack doesn't do much. It has built-in viral, which is dope. So if we look at my build, you can see what I did. Priming weapons, I highly recommend secondary encumber so that you get the extra status effects. If you don't care about extra status effects and you just want to throw on whatever you have on your weapon, you can always do arcanes like secondary fortifier. That is also pretty dope. And if you want to make this into a DPS weapon, it has very low crit, so secondary innovate is also pretty dope. But like I said, I'm just doing a priming build. So whenever you do make a priming build, obviously it goes without saying you want a lot of status effects. But another thing you want is multi-shot, because it has innate multi-shot. So if you mod for multi-shot, the scaling goes really high. As you can see, I have 15 projectiles coming from one trigger pull, and all of them have like 116% status. If we do quick little math, let's just say this is like 100 status and 15 shots, that is 1,500% status. That is 15 status effects from one trigger pull. As you can see, it was a lot more than that because, you know, I was just doing like easy dumbed down math for you. But yeah, this weapon can be really good. I should probably show you my ribbon. If you do want to get a ribbon for this weapon, it is very expensive. But I just rolled mine. I got a trash when I rolled it. I got really lucky. I got exactly what I wanted because I've really been loving cold recently. Because, you know, a lot of the weapons that I use have high crit. And so, you know, having cold primed on an enemy, not only does it crowd control them and makes it easier to hit after you switch from your primer, but also, we'll go ahead and take a peek at it because this was reworked a little bit ago. But it increases your critical damage by 10% with an additional 5% per stack. So that, you know, it increases your critical damage. That's just increasing your base damage. Not base damage, you know. If you're using a high crit weapon, it's increasing the amount of overall damage that you're releasing. And that is dope. But yeah, anyways, I went with cold here and status chance because that's basically replacing like a 60-60 cold. This is just a slightly better 60-60 cold, and it added multi-shot. And like I said, you really want a mod for that multi-shot. So I have the lethal torrent, I have this multi-shot. I'm getting a lot of multi-shot. Barrel diffusion. You can go with the galvanized diffusion, but realistically, it's 10% less. It's not going to be doing much, but it's less mod capacity. As you can see, I wouldn't even be able to throw this on here. I would have to format it again. But also, you have to get kills to get extra multi-shot. So since I'm not really going to be getting kills with this weapon, then I'll just go with this. But, you know, since this does have innate multi-shot, if you want to go for a damage Kompressa build, then yeah, definitely use this because this gives more multi-shot. It's like an extra 110%. I'm not looking at this number. I'm looking at this is like 30% times 4, so that's 120. This already gives 120. So you know, overall your net gain from equipping this would be the extra 110. So yeah, if you're going with a damage build on the Kompressa, definitely go with this. And like I said earlier, since this does have innate multi-shot, like it's just so easy to mod for multi-shot and get crazy projectiles going out there. And it's just really fun just shooting it. I mean, it's a bubble gun in the game. You just shoot it, and look how many projectiles come out. That's just fun to look at, you know? I can't wait for the Prime, because sometimes the projectiles look different on Prime weapons. And especially, like, Prime Warframes, their abilities look slightly more majestic and stuff. So I can't wait to see all those popping in. But, yeah. Bubblegum is pretty dope. Doesn't exactly have the best range, but if you're priming enemies, you're not going to be that far away from them anyways. Boom. Wow. But yeah. Anyways, that's really all I had to talk about. So we can jump into this might be a little bit longer of a video. We'll probably jump into 2 missions. One showing off Yareli and what I'll be doing with her, and then, you know, one showing off the Kompressa. And I'll see you there. Deuces. I was looking to see if there was a Steel Path Fissure active. There is not. So we'll just be hopping into a regular Steel Path defense. Or not defense, disruption. I love disruption missions. They're one of my favorites. It feels so good when you have such a tanky enemy and you can just kill it as fast as possible. So, we'll go ahead and do that. So, first thing I'm going to do is cast my Nourish. Oh, I have this operator. We'll get some energy going. So one thing I do want to talk about with this is the what was I about to say? I already lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so what I was going to talk about was the Archon shards. I did not throw many Archon shards on this Warframe. Literally all I did was 1 parkour velocity. If I were to throw Archon shards on here, I will when Yareli Prime comes out. And I'll probably just be doing things like, boom. Let me charge up this Incarnon. Ignore my really bad, really bad accuracy. But, anyways. If I were to throw Archon shards on here, it would probably be like the orange ones for the, critical chance stacking with like the heat status effects on secondary weapons, because I mean Yareli secondary weapons, and she already gives the crit chance buff. So yeah, I think that's pretty dope. Also, my duration on this build is fairly low, so maybe if I had like any to spare, I would do like casting speed, parkour velocity. If there's any to spare, maybe throw on a duration one. Wow, my accuracy is so bad. But, sea snares. Alright, let's see if we can get some keys. So I've already charged up my Incarnon. The Vasto Incarnon is so underlooked, it's crazy. I've gotten into it recently. Also, Cedo is like one of my favorite priming primaries. So, I'll just do this, lock it down, boom, and boom. The extra crit just from like moving around is just dope. I love it. We'll go ahead and get some more kills. The Vasto is not good at really like crowd clearing. It's really good at like single target goodies. So, like a really good secondary you could equip on Yareli instead if you were doing something that wasn't like a disruption. Core 100%, like probably one of the best secondaries you could throw on her, and you can clear rooms very easily. This is not white key. I thought this was white key. We'll go over here. But I mean, as you can see, I'm in steel path. Look at this. I can just stand in front of this guy. Never mind. They got crowd controlled. But I mean, I'm taking barely any damage, and my shield recharge is just bringing the shields right back. So that's why I threw those shield recharge mods on. It's just so good. So good. And, like, even when I get to, like, way later content, I can just cast my fourth ability. Now, you probably haven't seen me use my fourth ability very much. No priming, by the way. Boom. And, it is a decent ability. It groups. Boom. So it's good at turning like single target weapons like the Vasto into crowd clears, but it would rely on a grouping tool, and Yareli has a grouping tool, so there you go. That's something else to talk about. I've kind of been like strolling and taking my time on this. Maybe I'll speed this up because this is going to be kind of a longer video. I'll be showcasing a mission with the Kompressa as well. Yoink. Also, I do have a small complaint. I hope it gets fixed with the Yareli Prime. But the Marilena fashion, it's not exactly what I want it to be. The accents, let's see. Where's the Marilena at? There she is. So, where'd they go? There they are. Okay, see how the red tail? It looks like it'd be like an emissive thing. Nope, it's the accent. So I can't have little gold trimmings on my Marilena without having like a yellow tail, and I really wanted the red tail. So maybe if my hopes are up high enough, I can control the way that the game is gonna go, and then I can have better Marilena fashion. And boom. That's just, the Vasto Incarnon is great, and the Yareli's passive just makes it better. And this is just like using the passive. I could make enemies more vulnerable to damage just by casting my first ability, or my little companion can be casting my first ability for me and make him more damage vulnerable as well. As a meme, I want to throw the primed new mod for weapon recoil on the Vasto. I want to see how good it actually is. It's probably not going to be much better than the regular. I should probably rename this weapon to Guy, so I have like the T Guy tie loadout, as per usual. And we'll go ahead and charge this up again. Wow, that was a lot of charge for one shot. And boop. Sometimes it just doesn't do the goodies. That's fine. There we go. Let's look for that last key. Last key? Let's go in group. Last key? Nice. Also, if you ever want that to go away, just recast your 4th ability. And the hold to cast is, it just spawns like a 4th ability explosion instead of a sucky. Boom. But, I mean, the tap to cast is just really nice. Okay, let's freeze you. Let's prime, switch back, and boom. Good stuff. And I'll just go ahead and end this clip here. We'll go ahead and jump straight into the other missions, so I don't waste your time. So I'll see you in the next clip. Now I know that people are going to be like upsetty spaghetti about the slam nerfs coming soon. I personally am not affected by it very much, because I don't really care about the slam radius. It does kind of suck that it's going away, technically, because a lot of tile sets have a ceiling. And if you jump too high, then it like uncasts all of like your channeled abilities and stuff. Like, we'll do this for instance. See how there's like a ceiling there? It's like an invisible ceiling. Other tile sets, you jump high and it just like resets you. So let's say I have this ability active. If I jump super high, it would do like a reset and it would just like uncast that ability, and then I have to spend more energy. So sometimes you don't want to jump super high and then do a slam to get your range. But me personally, I'm not one of those people that's doing crowd clearing with the slam. I just like the damage. So I'll definitely keep doing my disruptions with the slam build, even after the nerfs. And yeah. Let's go ahead and hop into this one. I'll summon my dude. I'll give him the Kompressa. And we might as well use... We'll abuse the room clearing with slams before they go away. So, also one another thing I want to talk about with the slam thing, like the radius going away. You can still basically do a room clear with a slam if you use Kalervo. He's one of the best melee frames in the game, and he can link enemies together, so not exactly a nerf to him. All he has to do is just spend a little bit of energy now, and he can just do the same results as before. Armor strip, slam. And we're on to the next one. I really like Wukong's second ability. Really good on console. If I had a PC, I would probably be running Titania for my faster missions. But Titania is not as easy to control. Wukong is very easy to control on console. Where's the dude? Over here? Nope, I was wrong. As per usual. So, let's get our guy to prime them. Where's our guy at? Can you turn around? Please? There we go. Usually it doesn't take that long. Alright. Once again, this is a longer video. Let's try to pick up the pace a little bit. Let's get some keys. But, yeah. My opinions on the slam nerf, I don't really care that much about it. I did notice, like, years ago, that the mods didn't scale correctly, and I'm surprised they're looking into that now. Like the Nero mods that gave you the slam damage bonus, it was giving way too much for the longest time. I'm glad they're fixing that. And they're also buffing the numbers too, so, cool. And see, there we go. That's what it usually does. Now he's got to get one last one. Boom. Keys. I was in a disruption yesterday, and there was like no enemy spawning. It was like maybe 10 enemies a minute, and it sucked because I really wanted that last key. but it took almost like 15 minutes to do one round. It was nuts. I hope I never see that bug again. Nothing going on over here. For those of you that are wondering why I'm so bad at finding the enemies in a disruption, there we go. It's because I am partially deaf, so, you know. Don't feel bad for me, just don't make fun of me. Anyways. And now we go.
Care to live up to your reputation and try again?
Yeah. And, yeah. Kompressa's goated. And that's all I really have to talk about today. So, Yareli Prime coming soon. Dope. I think it's May 21st.
Wakey, wakey.
So, we don't have to wait very long. And I'm definitely glad that I took a peek at both the Kompressa and Yareli before the Prime's released. The reason why I'm not really talking much about Daikyu, that's also getting a Prime, I have personally never really liked the Daikyu. I have taken a look at it recently. Meh. Obviously, the Prime version is going to be better, and I will definitely take a look at that when it comes out. But for now, I don't really have much to talk about with that. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Deuces.